residence. ما في المقام لذي عقل وذي عدب من راحة فداعي الأوطان واغترب. He says, there's no rest in residence. So travel and leave where you're residing. Travel, you'll find a replacement for what you've left behind. And strive, the beauty of life is in striving. Why don't people travel? You know, a lot of times, you'll find, you know, you'll see this a lot in in marriages. You have a sister who says, I'm not interested in leaving my city. That needs to be put in the marriage contract. I'm not interested in leaving Plano, Texas. I'm not going to leave my parents and my family and stuff like that. It's like, khalas, so forever, ever, you're not going to leave your city? Yeah, it's difficult to leave, but he's arguing and he's saying, whenever you leave, you'll find a replacement for what you left behind. You'll find new friends. You'll make new friends. You'll find new opportunities. It's difficult, yeah, but strive. The beauty of life is in striving. And guess what? When you stay around the same people all the time, you become stagnant. And he says, I've seen water become stagnant if still. It becomes pure if it runs, but not if it doesn't flow. And the lion without leaving its den can't hunt, and an arrow won't strike without leaving its bow. You got to travel. You got to travel. You'll experience new things. You'll reach new heights. You'll meet new people. You'll have your sense of possibility will be increased by interacting with, meeting new people. And he says, if the sun stood still in its heavenly course, then all the world it would bore. If you just stayed here all the time, people get tired of you. But when you travel, even a Shafi'i is saying that, you know, all over the world, people tell me, I want to move to Dallas. And I'm like, why? Right? And I'm sure you've heard this too. People are like, oh my God, the amount of shuyukh that are there and stuff. On Monday, I'll go attend Sheikh Yasser Khali's halaqah. On Tuesday, I'll go Sheikh Umar Sulaiman's. On Thursday, I'll go attend Sheikh Yasser. And this is what they're thinking. Is that what happens here? Why? Are you telling me you have all of these famous, amazing teachers here in Dallas and you're not hopping around every day to go and attend here and there and there? If the sun stood still in its heavenly course, then all the world it would bore. Human nature, we take for granted that which is always around us. And so instead, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the beauty of sunrise. And Allah gives us the beauty of sunset. That motion in the sky makes us appreciate the sun. Otherwise, if the sun stood still all the time, we would get bored of it. And he says, gold dust is like dust where it's commonly found. You could be it could be gold. You could be gold. But if you're in a land where everything is gold, nobody will take it, nobody will notice you. You speak with a southern accent here in Texas. Does anybody care? Anybody like, wow, I really love your accent? This southern drawl? No, you got to go up north for that. You got to leave Texas for people to appreciate that accent. He said, gold dust is like dust where it's commonly found. And in its land, oud is just another wooden store. Even oud, as beautiful smelling as oud is, wherever oud is found, it's just another wood. Nobody cares. But if one travels, they become sought out. If one travels, they're honored like gold. If one travels, they become sought out. When you travel, your skills, your experience becomes unique. It becomes valuable to other people. Salman al-Farisi in Medina is able to inform them of something that brings so much value. In Persia, this is what we do. We build trenches around the city. Salman, if he had given that advice in Persia itself, everybody would have been like, duh. That's nothing new, Salman. Yes, we've been doing that for 1,000 years. But he's able to take that information to a community where that information does not exist. And so it becomes incredibly valuable. Your experiences become very incredibly valuable. He has another poem on travel that it's a brief one, it's shorter than this one, so I'll just share it because it completes kind of the picture. He says, فوائد الأسفار, the benefits of travel. He says, تغرب عن الأوطان في طلب العلا وسافر ففي السفار 5 فوائد تفرج هم واكتساب معيشة وعلم وآداب وصحبة ماجد. He says, why travel? Journey from your country in seeking elevation, and in travel are gains in 5 matters: removal of stress, and earning of livelihood, knowledge, culture, and a companion of stature. 5 things you get when you travel. Number 1, removal of stress. You're in Dallas and all you're thinking about are bills and problems and all that type of stuff. You know what? If I go to Austin for the weekend, or I go to Oklahoma, or wherever people go from here, you forget about things for a little bit. That in and of itself is something beneficial, that you forget about your problems for a moment. Number 2, he says, removal of stress and earning of livelihood. Again, you get exposed to other opportunities. You meet new people. How many people got a job while traveling? How many people were able to network and benefit themselves while traveling? Number 3, he says knowledge, ilm, of course, that you're exposed to new information. You're going and able to attend classes. You're able to benefit from new teachers. Culture. I think culture is something that is so underrated. When you travel, you get exposed to different value systems. When you travel, you get exposed to different value systems. And you're able to judge between those value systems. So for example, has anybody here lived in another country, spent a lot of time in another country? Okay. So less than half, maybe 25%. So when you grew up in it, or if you lived in a different culture, different society completely, you're able to judge between how American society does things and how whatever that other society. And the values that are placed in that culture versus American culture, and now you're able to compare and say, you know what? I give you guys an example. And I won't even take it to travel. There's something even more accessible, and that is language. Language also carries with it the values of a culture. You know, we had last year, it was during COVID, we had Dr. What's his name? Is his name Leonard Cohen? Am I saying it right? Leonard Sachs, sorry. Dr. Leonard Sachs. Lots of books on child development. He gave a lecture to our community in Houston. It was on Zoom. And he mentioned something very interesting. He said, and this is a non-Muslim guy, but he said that he was consulting a Syrian family who had asked him, you know, they had come recently from Syria, and they were Arabic speaking at home, but their children now were absorbing English and speaking English very fluently. And they told him, they said, we're having a problem with our son because when he speaks to us in English, there's an aggression that he has that he doesn't have when he speaks in Arabic. In fact, it's almost like he's a different person. And so Dr. Leonard is talking to this Muslim community. You know, there was literally thousands of people on the Zoom call. And he said, listen, let me tell y'all something. And he's mentioning this story. He said, if you guys have another language to speak at home, speak that language at home. Don't speak English. He's like, your kids are going to learn English at school. But speak that other language. Why? He was like, because what that other language provides for them is culture. What that other language provides for them is values. And let me give you guys an example. I found that American English, one of the qualities that American English has in it is a shamelessness. Americans will not just tell you that they're going to the bathroom, but they'll tell you what they're going into the bathroom to do. And this always struck me as so strange. I grew up for a part of my life in Sudan, and so I still have that always comparing to how we do things in Sudan thing. Even though I grew up more of my life in the US, but I have another culture as a reference point. And I can't, you know, sometimes like it'll be like a person who's not just 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. It'll be a Muslim brother with a beard like this, or sometimes a sister with a hijab, and she'll tell you, hold on a second, I'm just going to the bathroom to go do. I'm like, dude, this is way too much information. And then I go into I turn on the Arabic side of my brain, and there's no way that I could imagine in Sudan an adult or male or woman telling me what they're going to go to the bathroom to do. In fact, the Arabic language, even in the Quran, has euphemisms. Yani, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "O jaa ahadun minkum min al-gha'it, O lamastum an-nisa." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, like, or one of you comes from the bathroom. He doesn't even say goes to the bathroom. He says one of you comes from the bathroom. It's understood what a person goes to the bathroom to do. I don't need to describe to you what I'm going to the bathroom to do. And this is just something that I've mentioned this to so many people, and they're like, wow, I never really thought of that. It's just kind of taken as a given. A lot of times, if a person doesn't have another culture to compare to, I mean, it's just natural that you take the way that you do things as a given. It's normal. Another attribute of American English is, and there's a lot of positives, don't get me wrong, but one that also strikes me is conflict with the elders, conflict with the elderly, conflict with parents. So you're watching a Disney Channel show at 5 years old or 6 years old or 7 years old, and you're introduced to the main character, and they're like, "Hi, my name is so-and-so. This is my dad. He's an idiot. This is my mom. She's great, blah, blah, blah." And you're being introduced to characters, and you're being introduced to language like that from the get-go. And I remember thinking to myself, again, comparing with other cultures, I have never heard a person say, "My dad is an idiot," growing up in Sudan. I've just never heard it. Like, I can't imagine someone saying, like, I don't even know how to say it. Not that I don't know the words, but I never heard somebody say that. There's a respect that's presented to your parents, and even if they didn't like their dad at a particular time, like growing up, these challenges are all the same, but it's like, person went. But in America, it's just so easy. It comes off the tongue. It's part of our culture, that conflict with authority. And so when a person exposes themselves to other cultures, you're able to pick and choose that which, and you're able to compare, more importantly. So he says, culture and a companion of stature. And of course, friendship is obvious, that when you travel, I mean, you meet new people, and you're able to create beautiful friendships and relationships. So this is some of what Imam Shafi, rahimahullah ta'ala, mentions with regards to travel.